We welcome to Maharaj, and Maharaj is going to speak on Lord Chaitanya and his devotees. We'll do little Kirtan, Maharaj? Kirtan will do? Okay.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janaballabha Kirit Bharatari Gopi Janaballabha Kirit Bharatari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janaballabha Girid Bharatari Gopi Janaballabha Girid Bharatari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, Jai Jaya Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Om Ajnanatimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're going to speak about the associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Previously, I was always speaking more specifically about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but I thought this year I'd like to glorify the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because it's very important for us to appreciate the devotees and not just bypass the devotees and go to the Supreme Lord. We all know the importance of the connection with the devotees, right? By the mercy of the devotees, we get the mercy of Krishna. And without the mercy of the devotees, then it's very difficult to make spiritual advancement. And Lord Krishna also spoke to Uddhava that if someone said he is my devotee, he's not really my devotee. But if he is the devotee of my devotees, then he is my devotee. It's very important for us, therefore, to have a deep appreciation for the devotees of the Lord. The devotees of the Lord are even more merciful than the Lord himself. The Lord Krishna, rarely gives mercy, but the devotees are very kind, very more merciful than Krishna himself. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course we say he's the most merciful of the incarnations of Krishna, but we know that it is Lord Nityananda who is even more merciful. And it is the devotees of Lord Chaitanya who are even more merciful than Lord Chaitanya, because they distribute the mercy of Lord Chaitanya everywhere. So, in speaking glorification of the devotees, I hope it will enrich all of our faith in the devotees of the Lord. To have faith only in the Lord and not to have faith in the devotees will be very bad. We say, Yashya deve parabhaktir yata deve takaguru. Tashaiti praktahyata prakashanti mahatmana. Only to those souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the devotees are all the purports to the scriptures revealed very easily. So we have to have faith both in Krishna and in Krishna's devotees. So it's important for us, therefore, to hear about different devotees. And we all know from the Vaishnava calendar, we celebrate the appearance and the disappearance of so many different devotees in the course of the year. But not all devotees are known. There are many devotees we don't know when they were born. We don't know when they disappeared. We don't know where they were born or who were their parents. There's not always information available about all of these things. So it's important for us to try to understand more and hear more about different devotees and their wonderful qualities. And Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Vishnupad, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he researched a lot of these things and made a lot of notes. When he was traveling in different parts of India, he would collect information not only about devotees within our own line, but even in the other lines from Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya, these different sampradayas. He was bringing information for all the devotees. We want to develop strong faith, and the faith comes about by hearing and by knowledge. If we have a good knowledge, a good understanding, then we will have strong faith. So it's important for us to know about the different devotees. So I'm going to begin today by speaking about one devotee who was prominent in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I'm going to speak about Sivananda Sen. Sivananda Sen was very intimately connected with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and very much loved by the Lord. He was a very magnanimous personality. He was very responsible also. He was a family man. He had 3 sons. One son was called Chaitanya Das, one son was called Ram Das, and the other son was called Puri Das. At least Lord Chaitanya jokingly gave him the name Puri Das. It happened that one time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that Sivananda Sen's wife was carrying a child in her womb. She had not yet given birth. So when Lord Chaitanya saw that she was expecting to deliver a child, Lord Chaitanya said at that time, he said, when the child is born, you can give him the name Puri Das. It was joking. Actually, he was given the name Paramananda, but then sometimes he's called Puri Das. And later on, he grew up to become a very, very great devotee. He became known as Kavi Karnapur. Kavi Karnapur. And he wrote the Gaurav Gunadesh Dipika, describing or revealing to us the identity of different devotees who were in Gaura Lila and who they were in Krishna Lila. So it's a very valuable common book. And he wrote also other books like a drama, Chaitanya Chandradoya, like that, wonderful books. And the eldest son, Chaitanya Das, he also wrote books. He was a Sanskrit scholar. So you can see, being born in a devotee family, it's a very wonderful advantage for cultivating Krishna consciousness. Just last night, actually, we were having kirtan with His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj, and some other devotees had come to perform kirtan. So one of the devotees, he was a young man, and he was playing mridanga and playing harmonium and singing so wonderfully, so proficiently. I was so impressed when he played the mridanga, and then later on he took to the harmonium and he began singing, and it was so wonderful kirtan. I was so surprised. And so I'd heard that some devotees are here from Vrindavan and that they're in the 24-hour kirtan. So he told me that yes, he said, I just came from Vrindavan, and usually he told me I've been staying in Vrindavan for 4 years and I'm with the kirtan there. But I said, I'm sure you didn't just learn this in 4 years. He said, no, he said, I grew up in New Vrindavan. He's a Western-bodied young man. He said he grew up, he was born in New Vrindavan, and he grew up there in New Vrindavan. So as a young man, he was taught, as a young child, he was taught how to play mridanga and harmonium, and he was accustomed to kirtan. So you can see the birth is very, very helpful. Indeed, Srila Prabhupada also told us how his father had him trained to play the mridanga when he was a young boy. And he was also playing harmonium, and his harmonium playing was always appreciated. Prabhupada said, there were some young women wanting to marry me because of my harmonium playing. Quite interesting. I don't know why they want to marry someone just because they can play harmonium. You're not going to make a lot of money just playing harmonium. Anyway, you know, this is, Prabhupada was telling these things. So I want you to understand the importance of that birth, that it's such an advantage to becoming a devotee, to have such a nice birth in a devotee family, and to be raised in Krishna consciousness, and to be taught kirtan from one's childhood. It's so wonderful. And not everybody, of course, will be musically inclined. Like I said, Sivananda Sen's children, one was a Sanskrit scholar, and the other was devotee. Kavi Karnapur, well, they were all devotees, but you know, they were more inclined to the philosophy, and they wrote wonderful books, so made a nice contribution to the literary legacy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. So Sivananda Sen was quite wealthy man, and he was sensible and responsible. Lord Chaitanya had another disciple named, well, another follower, there was a devotee named Vasudev Datta. And Vasudev Datta was a very generous person. He would give away practically everything he had. You know, anybody could come to him and they could ask, and if he had it, he would give them. He wouldn't think about his own family. Vasudev Datta had his own family, but he wouldn't think about his own family needs. If somebody else came to him requesting financial support or help, he would immediately give them. So Lord Chaitanya became concerned for this, and he told Sivananda Sen, he said, you should be the secretary for Vasudev Datta. Take care of his finances, because he's so philanthropic, he's so charitable that he gives away everything. So he said, you take care of his wealth for him, and don't let him be irresponsible. So this is example of devotee care. We often speak about devotee care going on in our movement today. We encourage our centers to try to have devotee care departments and to be thinking about the needs of devotees and looking after them and caring for them. And we see this again and again in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just as we saw with Srila Prabhupada, how caring he was about devotees. If he saw that devotees, sometimes he would see a devotee's got some boil, Prabhupada would tell him how to treat it, what he needs to do. And sometimes even Prabhupada saw the devotee needed to get married, and Prabhupada would arrange for their marriage. So Prabhupada was thinking about the care of devotees. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also very caring and concerned for all of his devotees. It's very important for us as devotees, we have to also want to cultivate these kind of qualities. That as devotees, we should also want to show the proper behavior of the devotee and exhibit the qualities which are there. Whatever qualities Lord Krishna has, the vast majority of these qualities are also found there within devotees, right? In Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he had listed all 64 different qualities of Lord Krishna. But then he had explained that up to a jiva, up to Lord Brahma, that they can, at the best, they can have 50 out of the 64 qualities. And they won't have the qualities in the same quantity, but the quality should be there, although not in the same quality as displayed by Lord Krishna. So we want to cultivate the good qualities. One who is a devotee of Krishna will naturally have all good qualities. But it will take some time for us to manifest these qualities. So it's very good for us to hear about the qualities which are found there in Chaitanya Prabhu and his devotees. So Sivananda, saying he was given the responsibility by Lord Chaitanya, you look after the finances of Vasudev Datta. Don't let him just give his money away to everybody. Another example of the wonderful qualities of Sivananda came when he would go to Jagannath Puri every year. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24. And then his mother requested him to go and live in Jagannath Puri. And it happened that every year the devotees would come from Mayapur or from Gauramandala Bhumi, from the different villages in Gauramandala Bhumi. They would come and they would all go together to Jagannath Puri, and they would attend the Rath Yatra, and usually they would stay there for 4 months, because 4 months, the Chaturmasya, the rainy season comes, and 4 months, and they would stay there for the 4 months, and then after 4 months they would come back. And that meant walking. We celebrated a few years ago now, we celebrated the 500th anniversary of Lord Chaitanya taking sannyas. And at that time, devotees from Mayapur organized a padayatra, and they all walked to Puri. They walked, well, they went to Shantipur, to a home of Advaita Acharya, and then they went down across to Puri, just as Lord Chaitanya did when he took sannyas. So every year, Sivananda Sen would organize the devotees to go to Jagannath Puri, and he would pay all the expenses involved for them to go to Jagannath Puri. They would have to cross different rivers. So when they would cross the rivers, there would be tolls to pay. And sometimes they would cross also different borders. And that time they would have to deal with the customs. Just like we do. You know, when we travel, it's so troublesome sometimes. You know, we think, oh, it's so troublesome. Even 500 years ago, they had trouble to travel. You know, when we travel, we have all the trouble coming through immigration and coming through the security checks. And they will tell you, no, you can't take this. You know, maybe you bring some prasadam. And they'll say, no, you can't take this in the plane. Or maybe you've got some fresh fruit, and they'll say, no, you can't bring this inside the airplane. And, you know, so many troubles. So even 500 years ago, they had a lot of trouble just to go to Jagannath Puri. Nowadays, we don't have much trouble to go to Jagannath Puri. Of course, we come from much farther away. But just to go from Mayapur to Puri, Sivananda Sen would bring the devotees. And there would be quite a number of devotees. And many of the ladies, the wives of the different devotees, would also go. And they'd bring children also. Sivananda Sen would bring his sons with him. They would all go together, walking to Puri. So it happened that while they were walking to Puri, a dog began to follow them. And Sivananda said, this dog is following us. So every day he arranged to give prasadam to the dog. But one day they forgot to give prasadam to the dog. And then the dog disappeared. As Sivananda Sen asked, what happened to the dog? And then it was, we forgot. We never gave prasadam to the dog. Oh, Sivananda Sen felt very sorry that they'd never given prasadam to the dog. And the dog had disappeared. He was so concerned for that dog that he fasted. He thought, they didn't give the dog prasadam, I'm not going to take prasadam either. But then, when they got to Jagannath Puri, to their delight, they saw the dog was there. And it was with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya he had a coconut, and he was taking the meat from inside the coconut, and he would throw it to the dog. And the dog would take the meat and go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And the dog was chanting Hare Krishna when he got the meat from the coconut. And then the next day the dog was liberated. The dog went back to Godhead. So this was the mercy of Sivananda Sen, that he gave mercy to even a dog. Very compassionate, right? We want to also think about dog. It doesn't mean we bring the dog in the house. You know, nowadays people, dogs we give them prasadam, but they keep them outside. They're not supposed to come in the house. We keep them out. They don't come into the temple, but we don't deny them prasadam. And certainly when we go on parikrama, on the go Navadvip Parikrama, after we always give prasadam to the dogs. There's always enough for the dogs. They enjoy when they see the devotees. So we do try to be compassionate, cultivate this mood of caring. There was another important incident which shows the wonderful qualities of Sivananda Sen while he was bringing the devotees to Puri. It happened one day that while they were on the way, they got delayed at a checkpoint. And the government officials they spent time with Sivananda Sen. He had to pay tolls to them. So all the devotees were kept waiting. And all of the devotees includes also Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda himself would also walk to Puri every year to go and see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was manifest after sannyas. He took sannyas at 24, and then he spent 6 years. 6 years were spent traveling around India, and then 18 years were spent in Jagannath Puri. So about 18 times the devotees were coming every year, coming for Rath Yatra and going back, coming to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But it happened that at one point when they were crossing the checkpoint, they got delayed. And the devotees were kept standing in the hot sun. And there was not much shade. There was not much shade from the trees. And they had not taken their prasadam. So Lord Nityananda was feeling some agitation. He was actually portraying the mood like an ordinary person. And he showed hunger and some agitation due to his hunger. That they were waiting in the hot sun and Sivananda was not coming. They were delayed, they had no place to stay, and they had no prasadam to take. What to do? Lord Nityananda was getting quite annoyed because it was taking so long. And at one point, Lord Nityananda became so annoyed that he said, that Sivananda Sen, he said, I curse his 3 sons to all die. So when Lord Nityananda said like that, then the wife of Sivananda Sen began to cry. She was so worried that Lord Nityananda has cursed our sons to die. So after a short time, Sivananda Sen returned. And he saw his wife crying. So he inquired from her, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And she said, Lord Nityananda has cursed our sons to die. So Sivananda Sen said, if Lord Nityananda wants our sons to die, let us all die. If Lord Nityananda desires, let us all die. And then Lord Nityananda came, and he was feeling a little angry towards Sivananda Sen, so he kicked him. He gave him a kick. And how did Sivananda Sen respond when he was kicked? It's very interesting to note. How would you respond if somebody comes up and kicks you? How are you going to feel? So Sivananda Sen got a kick from Lord Nityananda. And Sivananda Sen said to Lord Nityananda, he said that, oh, today my life is successful. I have achieved the dust from your lotus feet. That dust from your lotus feet is desired by even great demigods like Lord Brahma. They're all desiring to get the dust from your lotus feet. I am so fortunate You have blessed my family, you've blessed me, my life is successful. You put the dust from your lotus feet on my fallen, contaminated body. And when Lord Nityananda heard these words, then he embraced Sivananda Singh. He was so happy to see that Sivananda Singh had such strong faith in Lord Nityananda. And of course, Sivananda Singh immediately took Lord Nityananda and took him to a room, got him a nice accommodation where he could rest, and he arranged also his prasadam and everything for all the devotees. So this is a very, very important pastime which we should all learn from, about tolerance and about being kind and compassionate and not expecting honor for ourselves, offering all respects to others. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishnadas Kaviraj also tells us that take that verse from the Shikshastakam. Think of ourselves lower than a straw in the street. Be more tolerant than the tree. Be devoid of all sense of false prestige and ready to offer all respects unto others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So this is a wonderful pastime of Sivananda Singh, which took place. Another pastime which took place with Sivananda Singh came when he brought his sons to Jagannath Puri. And I was telling you how he introduced them to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there was one time Lord Chaitanya asked the youngest child, this one Puri Das, remember Puri Das, who became Kavi Karnapur? So Lord Chaitanya asked him to chant the holy name of the Lord. You know, just like, you know, little children come and we will say, Hare Krishna, and we want them to respond and chant the holy name. So Lord Chaitanya was urging the little child, chant the holy name, Puri Das, but the child was just, it was not responding, it was not chanting. And Lord Chaitanya expressed his frustration to Swarup Damodar, who was his secretary. He said, I have given the holy name to the whole world. He said, I have made all living entities chant the holy name, even immovable living entities, even the animals and the trees, they've all chanted the holy name. I cannot get this little child to chant the holy name. But Swarup Damodar explained to Lord Chaitanya, he said, no, my Lord. He said, actually, you have initiated him in the holy name. And he has taken it in his mind, and he is chanting the holy name within his mind. So you have already initiated him. You don't have to feel any frustration or disappointment. That certainly he has taken the holy name and he is now chanting the holy name. And then a little while later, after that incident, at this time, Puri was then 7 years old. He was 7 years old only. So Lord Chaitanya said to him, can you recite a verse? Can you recite some poetry for us, Puri Das? And the little child then composed a beautiful verse in Sanskrit describing Lord Krishna. That the beauty of He said, Lord Krishna is like a blue lotus flower, right? The blue lotus, it's the most beautiful. So Lord Krishna is like a blue lotus to the ears. He's like Indranila gems. He's like this. Yeah, it was a beautiful Sanskrit verse, which the little child just composed by himself, spontaneously. Everyone was amazed. So they could understand the future of this child, that when he grows up, certainly he will be very, very good, he'll be scholarly, and he can also write and compose nice verses in Sanskrit, because even as a child he could do it. Another occasion, Sivananda Sen would invite Lord Chaitanya to come and take meals at his house. It was the custom, grihastas liked to invite the sannyasis to come for lunch to their home. So sometimes Sivananda Sen would take the opportunity to bring Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home to take prasadam. On one particular occasion, Sivananda Sen had prepared quite heavy prasadam, a lot of cakes and sweet rice and different fried things. So Lord Chaitanya, he accepted because Sivananda Sen was his devotee, but at the same time, he found it to be quite heavy food. You want to take light food. It's better to eat light food rather than heavy food. Heavy food will be more difficult to digest. Particularly as we get older, you don't want to be eating heavy food. Prabhupada used to tell us, said, young man cannot eat too much, an old man cannot eat too little. So Sivananda Sen had brought a lot of very heavy food for Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya accepted it reluctantly. But the son of Sivananda Sen, the oldest son, Chaitanya Das, he was a very intelligent young man, and he prepared very nice things for Lord Chaitanya to counteract, to help him to digest. He brought lime and ginger and lemon, these different things, which would all help Lord, and also some yogurt, dahi, to cool the stomach. So Lord Chaitanya saw that this young man, very intelligent, he's bringing me these nice things to help me to digest the heavy meal. Actually, there was another pastime also took place here in Mayapur when Sivananda Sen fed Lord Chaitanya. Again, it was a problem that Lord Chaitanya had taken some heavy food. So that time, he went to Murari Gupta, and Murari Gupta gave him water from his water pot. Murari Gupta was a physician, so he understood that Lord Chaitanya had some indigestion problem, and the cure for indigestion, drink water. And Murari Gupta had a special water pot which he gave to Lord Chaitanya to drink water, which cured his indigestion. This is the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his devotees, enjoying the different dealings with them. Sometimes he has to eat. He's invited to their home. Sometimes he has to eat. And sometimes when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to people's home, there was one occasion where he got insulted. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was invited to the home of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had one son-in-law In other words, this boy had married the daughter of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and they were staying there in their house. So it happened that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had prepared a big feast for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You know, you get these big banana leaves, and they just covered the whole banana leaf with so many different preparations. So this son-in-law of Sivananda, of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he saw the big feast which was being given to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he said, just look at this. Look, he's supposed to be a sannyasi. Look how he's eating so much. It was offensive, not very nice thing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not even begun to eat. Of course, he didn't desire to eat. He liked to he would say, just give me a little sak and some rice, a little green vegetables and some rice, that's good, I'll be happy. But the devotees would want to always give him a feast. And so this rascal son-in-law of Sarvabhauma criticized Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So sometimes it happens like that. People come, and they're not very nice. Just like Ramachandra Puri came to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he saw in Lord Chaitanya's room at the Gandicha that there were ants moving around on the floor. And when Ramachandra Puri saw all the insects on the floor, he said, look, insects are running here and there everywhere. He said, before I had heard about you people, you Vaishnavas, that you Gaudiya Vaishnavas, that you all eat too much. Now I know it's true. That's why all these insects are attracted. They must be keeping sweets here, because so many insects are running here and there. Of course, it's the nature of insects that they do come, they run here and there. You cannot avoid that. But this was a criticism of envious people. They talk like this. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took action, and he ordered the devotees, from today on, I will take 1/3 of what I eat. Reduce my prasadam. All the devotees were pained in their heart to hear how Lord Chaitanya was going to reduce his eating. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is the Mahabhadanaya avatar. He is giving great mercy. And it said, anybody who could see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just by seeing him, then they would feel so much love and so much ecstasy, so much awakening of faith in Krishna, just by seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that it gave people even prema bhakti. People could develop prema simply by seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But not everybody was so fortunate to be able to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We know Lord Chaitanya was in Jagannath Puri. I said he was staying there for 18 years. What about all the other people? How are they going to get prema? Do they have to go to Jagannath Puri to get the prema? That's one way. That is one way to get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Directly go and see Lord Chaitanya. But there were other ways also, because not everyone has so much faith to be willing to walk to Jagannath Puri to see Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya revealed himself to people in another way. One way was they saw him directly. Another way was Avesha. Avesha, just like we speak about Shakta Vesha avatars, how people become empowered with a particular energy. So Lord Chaitanya would also give mercy through his Avesha form. He would empower certain individuals to act on his behalf. He would actually enter their body and empower them to deliver the fallen souls. Kali Yuga Dharm Harinam Sankirtan Krishna Shakti Vininahi Tara Pravartan. Right? In order to spread the holy name of the Lord, it's very important that you have to be able to be empowered. And what is that empowerment? That is Krishna Shakti. If one is empowered by Lord Krishna, then he can spread the chanting of the holy names to everyone. We want to be empowered. So Lord Chaitanya arranged to empower people. There was this one person called Nakula Brahmachari. Nakula was a great devotee, a great pure devotee. And Lord Chaitanya had entered his body. Sometimes Nakula Brahmachari would be in ecstasy. Just like he would show the different symptoms of bhava, trembling of the body, hair standing on end, tears falling from his eyes like torrents of rain, sometimes rolling on the ground, sometimes laughing and sometimes crying, behaving just like a madman. He was empowered. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had entered into his body, and people would come to see Nakula to get his mercy. However, not everyone believed that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has entered his body. And Sivananda Sen, he also had a doubt. He thought, I don't believe it. I don't think Lord Chaitanya could have entered into the body of this Nakula Brahmachari. Is it really possible that the Lord could have done that? So Nakula Brahmachari was residing there at one place, and Sivananda Sen came there, and there was a crowd of people all around Nakula. And Sivananda Sen kept well back, kept away from everyone. And he thought to himself, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has actually entered into his body, then he will know that I am here. Because Sivananda Sen was very intimately connected with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very fond of him, and he would always encourage him and give him association. So Sivananda Sen kept well at the back, and there was a whole crowd of people in front of Nakula. Then suddenly Nakula told all the people around him, he said, there's a person here, there's a devotee here called Sivananda Sen. Find him, bring him to me. So all the devotees, they thought, oh, who's this? They didn't know who Sivananda Sen was. So they called out, is Sivananda Sen there? Is somebody called Sivananda Sen there? Sivananda Sen, come. Come, Nakula Brahmachari is calling you, come. And Sivananda Sen came. So he was way at the back, but he thought, they're calling me, I should go. So he came, and he thought, Sivananda Sen thought, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually in his body, then he will know what mantra I chant. He will know what mantra I'm reciting. So Sivananda Sen came forward to Nakula Brahmachari and offered his obeisances to him. And Nakula looked at Sivananda Sen and said, I know you chant the 4-syllable Gora mantra, Gora Gopal mantra. The 4-syllable Gora Gopal mantra. There are actually 2 mantras like that. There is Go-o-anga, Gauranga, Gauranga, Gauranga. But there's another 4-syllable mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So the devotees of the Lord, they chant also the 4-syllable mantra. In this way, Nakula, he took away the doubts of Sivananda saying, and he showed him how the Lord is personally residing in his body. This is the example of somebody who, Avesha, the Lord enters into his body. But there's a third way in which Lord Chaitanya gives his mercy, right? 3 ways in which the Lord is giving his mercy. First of all, directly, sakshat, directly seeing Lord Chaitanya and being with him. Secondly, avesha, empowering somebody. And the third thing, avirbhava. Avirbhav. So the avirbhav is where Lord Chaitanya appears there in this particular place. So it said, Lord Chaitanya always appeared in the home of Mother Sachi every day. Every day Lord Chaitanya would appear in the home of Mother Sachi and he would accept her offering. Even after he took sannyas, he would come there and to take her offerings because she would cook for the deity and Lord Chaitanya would come in his avirbhav form and accept her offering every day. And then the second place where Lord Chaitanya appears is in the home of Raghava Pandit. Raghava Pandit was a very great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His home was in Panihati. Have you all been to Panihati? Yes? Everybody, you must go. If you haven't been Panihati, you have to go to Panihati. Not far away from Calcutta. Very near to airport. And on the bank of the Ganga is Panihati. Panihati, of course, is the place where Raghunath Das got the mercy of Lord Nityananda. We have also an ISKCON temple there today by the mercy of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. He purchased a beautiful property there, which is right at that spot. So please, you try to see Panihati. And it said, in Panihati also, there's a house of Raghava Pandit. And Raghava Pandit, he lived there with his sister Damayanti. And it said Lord Chaitanya would also appear there. They were wonderful cooks. They would cook many preparations. And they would cook all year. And then when it came time to go to Jagannath Puri, they would pack everything in bags. So they had the Raghava jelly. The Raghava jelly was a big sack of prasadam. Big sack. They would cook things, and they would cook things so well that they would not deteriorate, that they would stay good, just like they were freshly cooked. Even they'd been cooked months ago, they would stay fresh. So they would bring every year this big sack of prasadam for Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya would keep it in the corner of his room. So Lord Chaitanya, this is one of the places where he appears, in the home of Raghava Pandit. And the other place where he appears is where in the home of Srivas Angam, not far away from here, just down the road, up after the Yoga Pith. You keep going, and you'll come to the Srivas Angam, the place where Srivas Thakur lived with his family, and Lord Chaitanya would come to the home of Srivas whenever there is kirtan. Lord Chaitanya enjoys to take part in kirtan. Just like whenever we hear kirtan, we want to, where's the kirtan? Who's doing the kirtan? I was telling you we had kirtan yesterday, and I heard the kirtan and I was attracted. Oh, kirtan. So like that, Lord Chaitanya, even though he would be hundreds of miles away in Jagannath Puri, but if they had kirtan in the Srivas Angam, Lord Chaitanya, by his mystic power, by his potency of Avirbhav, he would appear in the home of Srivas Pandit whenever there was kirtan and take part in that kirtan. And then the fourth place where Lord Chaitanya manifests himself, that is wherever Lord Nityananda chants and dances. Lord Chaitanya likes to dance with Lord Nityananda. Just like Kituri, at the home of Narottam Das Thakur, where they had the first Gaur Purnima festival, Chaitanya appeared, Avirbhav. Lord Nityananda also appeared. They both manifested themselves for the kirtan. Similarly, at Panihati, when Raghunath arranged a big feast, they were having kirtan. Lord Nityananda was there with his associates, but Lord Chaitanya manifested himself. Avirbhav. By his mystic power, he could appear there to be with Lord Nityananda and to join the kirtan. So Lord Chaitanya manifests himself in these four different places. However, Chaitanya Charitamrita describes to us about one great devotee. His name was Prajumna Mishra, or sometimes he's called Prajumna Brahmachari. He was given the name Nishringananda by Lord Chaitanya himself. He was actually a very great devotee of Lord Nrsingadev. And he used to talk to Lord Nrsingadev, and Lord Nrsingadev would talk with him. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu named him Nishringananda. But sometimes he's also called Prajumna. So there's very nice pastimes are described both in the Madhya Lila and in the Antya Lila of the meditation which was done by Nishringananda. So it happened that there was one case, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, well, first of all, there was a case, the nephews of Sivananda Sen, one nephew had gone there to Jagannath Puri and spent 2 months with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. And he got a lot of mercy from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya told him, he said, when you go back to Mayapur, tell all the devotees they don't need to come this year because I'm coming there. I'm going to come there. You don't need to come to me. I'm going to come to you this year. So you don't come to Puri. You tell them, I'll wait there. I'm coming there. So the nephew came back to Mayapur, and he got back just as the devotees were getting ready to leave, to come there. And he told them all, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, don't come this year, he's coming to us. He wants us to wait for him to come. So they were waiting, and Lord, they were told that he was going to come in the month of Paus, which means December, January. At the end of the year, he's going to come. So they were waiting for that time to come, especially Jagadananda and Sivananda. They were both very anxious for Lord Chaitanya to come. They both loved to give service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jagadananda would cook. Lord Chaitanya would eat his cooking, liked his cooking. And Sivananda Sen liked so much to serve prasadam to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it happened, Lord Chaitanya didn't come. The time came and Sivananda is sitting there and he's waiting and he's wondering, why is Lord Chaitanya not coming? Where is he gone? Why is he not coming? He's not coming yet. And they were waiting and waiting, became anxious. And then it happened that Nrsingananda came there. And Nrsingananda saw them looking very worried. And he asked them, what's wrong? Why are you so worried? You know, devotees, you should be happy. Why are you worried? And they told him, Lord Chaitanya is supposed to come. He didn't come yet. So Nrsingananda told him, don't worry, I will bring him. So Nrsingananda, they knew he's a very pure devotee. He's very powerful. So he said, don't worry, I will bring him here. I will bring. So he sat in meditation. And then he told them, he said, Lord Chaitanya has already reached Panihati. He will come here after a few days. And then he told them, after some time, he told, Lord Chaitanya will be coming tomorrow. They said, now you have to prepare the food, you have to get everything ready. So, Sivananda and Jagadananda and Nrsingananda, they got all the different things necessary to cook, and they made very nice preparations. They were cooking all morning. They said by noon Lord Chaitanya would come. And they got everything ready for offering. And this Nrsingananda, he was the one to make the offering. So they made 3 plates. They made a plate for Lord Jagannath, they made a plate for Lord Chaitanya, and they made a plate for Lord Nrsingadev. So I put the 3 plates in front of the 3 deities, and then Nrsingananda sat down to meditate, to make the offering, and then in his meditation he saw that Lord Chaitanya came. And he came and he ate. But he didn't just eat the plate for Lord Chaitanya, he ate the plate for Lord Jagannath and the plate for Lord Nrsingadev. And there was no remnants also. After it was all, he ate everything. So Nrsingananda was surprised that, wow, what is... And the devotees asked Nrsingananda, what's wrong? Why are you so worried? He said, oh, look at this Lord Chaitanya, but he has eaten everything. Lord Nrsingadev and Lord Jagannath will have to fast. He ate all the plates. How could he do this? Actually, Lord Chaitanya wanted to show by this pastime that there's no difference between Lord Jagannath and Lord Nrsingadev and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was instructing Nrsingananda in this point, that there's no difference between these forms of the Lord. Anyway, Nrsingananda was very... But he thought, just look at the behavior of this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Nrsingadev and Lord Jagannath have to fast. He's eaten all offerings. Sivananda became a bit confused. Sivananda couldn't understand, is this because of his love, his ecstatic love for Krishna, or did it really happen? Anyway, Nrsingananda then cooked again. He cooked again and offered again to Lord Nrsingadev and Lord Jagannath. So that was one pastime where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Nrsingananda Brahmachari. The other pastime where Lord Chaitanya appeared, the Avirbhav, it took place that Lord Chaitanya was supposed to go to Vrindavan. So he started from Pulia and he was going to Vrindavan. And Nrsingananda is a great devotee, so he wants to decorate the road for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in his meditation, he began to decorate the road. And he began to put jewels along the road, both sides of the road. He put jewels, and then he had flowers, just like these flowers without any stem. And he would have flowers all along the road. And not only did he put jewels and flowers, but along the road, at intervals, he made lakes. He made lakes with beautiful lotus flowers. And there were many nice birds there, making sweet sounds and singing. Not only that, but Nrsingananda also, this is all in his mind, you see, this is his mind. And his meditation was like this. He was meditating on decorating the road, that Lord Chaitanya is going to go to Vrindavan. I want to decorate the road for him. You know, if you have a nice road, it's so much nicer, isn't it? If you have to go on a road where there's nothing, just dust and not very pleasing. But he decorated it so nice. He had bakula flower trees, nice flowering trees, and then a nice very cool wind, cool breeze also, which carried the fragrance of the flowers. So it was very pleasing, so nice, so thoughtful. Nrsingananda was thinking how to please Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, decorating the road for him. But at a certain point, he was decorating the road and he got to Kanai Natsala, and then he said, I can't go any further. My meditation is stuck at Kanai Natsala. So Nrsingananda Brahmachari told them, Lord Chaitanya is not going to go to Vrindavan. He's only going to go to Kanai Natsala. And from Kanai Natsala, he'll go back to Puri. And actually, that is what happened. That is what happened. The Lord went as far as Kanai Natsala. Nrsingananda Brahmachari, he confirmed it by his own meditation. So it happened a year later, all the devotees had gone to Jagannath Puri and they were sitting with Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya told them, he said, you know, I'm always remembering those wonderful sweetmeats and vegetable preparations which were made by Jagadananda and Nrsingananda. When I came there and ate that offering, I had never tasted such wonderful delicacies. So when Sivananda heard that, he understood that it actually happened, that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually did appear there and he accepted their offering. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord is Bhavagrahi. He accepts the sentiment of the devotee. The devotee offers something in their mind, it's as good as offering the thing. Just like you all know that well-known story which is there in the Nectar of Devotion, the Brahmana cooking the sweet rice. He was cooking the sweet rice. Of course, he was doing many other things to worship the Lord, but he cooked sweet rice. And at one point, you know, sweet rice shouldn't be too hot. Sweet rice should be cool. I remember we used to cook sweet rice. We used to have a very big program on Sundays in the New York temple. And we used to cook like 20 gallons of sweet rice for the Sunday feast. So we would cook it 3 days before, and then we would put it in the freezer. So that when the Sunday feast came, you know, people could have some really nice cold sweet rice with their halava, with some very hot buttery halava. So, you know, that Sunday feast was very successful. People really, really loved the prasadam. So the sweet rice shouldn't be too hot. So the Brahmana wanted to offer the sweet rice, so he just put his little finger, you know, you don't taste it. Devotees, we don't taste before we offer. But he put his finger in just to see if it's hot or not. And he was surprised, he burned his finger. So that proves that what you do in your mind, that is also accepted by Lord Krishna. And Nrsingananda, he was doing that. He was offering this wonderful road. He was decorating the road for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was appreciating this. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was manifesting himself to the devotees. So, remember we said Lord Chaitanya appeared in 4 different places. He appears in the home of Mother Sachi every day to taste her wonderful offerings, her preparations, her cooking. He appears in the home of Srivas Pandit whenever there's kirtan. He appears in the home of Raghava Pandit, and he appears also wherever Lord Nityananda is chanting and dancing. So this is the Avirbhav feature of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, we describe 3 features of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu: Shakshad, Avesha, and Avirbhav. And Sivananda is saying he got the benefit, he got the mercy of Lord Chaitanya in all 3 ways. In all 3 ways he got that mercy. He was directly seeing Lord Chaitanya, associating with him. He was also, he met Nakula, and Nakula was possessed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he got the Avirbhav because Sivananda is saying it was when Lord Chaitanya came, it was Nrsinga Brahmachari brought him from Panihati up to Sivananda Sen's house to take that prasadam when he offered to Lord Nrsinga Dev and Lord Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally came there and ate it. So this is a very special mercy which Sivananda Sen got, that he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all 3 different features. Sakshad, directly, Avesha, empowered, and Avirbhav, through his appearance. So Sivananda Sen has wonderful relationship with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cares so much about him. I was describing how Lord Nityananda, how he kicked Sivananda Sen, and how did Lord Chaitanya, it happened that when Sivananda Sen was kicked, there were two of his nephews who were with the party. And when they saw their uncle get kicked, they were very unhappy. They thought, oh Lord Nityananda should not have kicked him like that. He kicked our uncle. They felt very bad. And they left the party and they went ahead. And they went all the way to Jagannath Puri to be with Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya could see that they were disturbed. So Lord Chaitanya told his servant, give them prasadam, give them my remnants. And Lord Chaitanya said, every day, give my remnants to Sivananda's family. They should get my remnants every day. This is how much caring Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had for his devotees. So we learn from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and we learn from all of the devotees how to cultivate the qualities of a Vaishnava. Thank you very, very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Sivananda Sen ki, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Gaur Premanande.
Maharaj, one question is there.
হরে কৃষ্ণ মহারাজ, খুব সুন্দর ক্লাস। আমি শিবানন্দ সেনের যে কুকুর মহাপ্রভুর হাতে প্রসাদ পেলেন, আমার প্রশ্ন হচ্ছে যে কুকুরটি কি এমন সৌভাগ্য করেছিলেন যে মহাপ্রভুর কৃপা লাভ করতে পারলেন, এক নম্বর। আর
Maharaj is having two questions. One is that what fortune has got this dog, Shivananda's dog, that that Mahaprabhu's hand, the dog accepted the prasad. What fortune was there, the dog's? First question. Another question is,
সেকেন্ড কোশ্চেন, যে নৃসিংহানন্দ ব্রহ্মচারী তিনি মহাপ্রভুর পার্ষদ, তিনি মানুষে পথ তৈরি করছেন, অথচ তিনি পুনরায় আবার রান্না করলেন জগন্নাথ দেবের জন্য আর নৃসিংহদেবের ভগবানের জন্য। এটি মানে তাৎপর্য কি?
Nrsingananda Brahmachari is so elevated, he can create a path for the Lord and he is aware about the Supreme Lord, but he has prepared that food stuff for Nrsingadev and Jagannath and
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Separately, why he did like that? Two questions he asked.
I didn't get the second question.
Second question is that he is so elevated, he knew about that, then he knew about that both gods are one, why he has prepared separately and offered?
Why he has to say... Well, the dog certainly gets... Dogs can also be liberated, it can also go back to Godhead. Or it may be the dog gets the human birth. It may simply be that the dog next life will take birth as a devotee, will be elevated from the dog species to the human life and may take birth as a devotee. Or it may be that the soul from the dog can also go back to Godhead. Everything in association with the Lord is definitely benefited, very elevated. We don't know exactly what happens, but the mercy of the Lord is unlimited. And by the mercy of the Lord, even the dogs can go back to Godhead directly. So, as for Nrsingananda Brahmachari, he didn't. You have a doubt that he doesn't know that Jagannath and Nrsingadev are the same as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Well, Lord Chaitanya is confirming it to him in case there is some doubt. He's a devotee. Nrsingananda was a devotee of Lord Nrsingadev. It was his worshipable deity. At the same time, he's also a great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he's thinking maybe there's some difference between the two. He's thinking maybe they're not all just the same. But Lord Chaitanya was showing him actually there's no difference. So, we could say maybe it's Leela also, Maybe it's just the Leela of that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arranged this. Sometimes he puts his devotees into this illusion that they think like that for the sake of a pastime. The Leela Shakti can arrange these different things, that even the great devotees become bewildered about things like that.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, thank you so much Maharaj for the wonderful class. Maharaj, I have two doubts. One is, Lord Chaitanya appears in three ways, as you said, Sakshat, Avesh and Avirbhav. Lord Krishna also appears the same way? This is my question. And my second doubt is, as Lord Nityananda cursed three sons of Sivananda Sen to die, and what happened to them? They really died, or...
No. Well, the sons of Sivananda Sen, Lord Nityananda cursed them to die. Well, of course, ultimately we all die, right? We all take birth and die, but they didn't die immediately. I described they grew up to be wonderful devotees, right? One became Chaitanya Das. He was a Sanskrit scholar, and he wrote an important commentary on the Krishna Karanamrita. And he also wrote a book called Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is a Sanskrit poetry. And then the youngest one, Puri Das, became Kavi Karnapurna. He wrote Gauraganesh Dipika, and he wrote Chaitanya Chandradoya Nataka, which is a drama, Sanskrit drama. So they became very great devotees, because they were all blessed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They got the remnants of Lord Chaitanya many times. They ate the remnants from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu many times. And there's even a pastime. Lord Chaitanya took Puri Das and he put his toe. He put his toe into the mouth of Puri Das. So they really got a lot of mercy from Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Nityananda, he cursed, but it was not an effective curse, you know. It was just again, that's another lila. Lord Chaitanya behaving like an ordinary man, becoming hungry, becoming angry because of his hunger. Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda is the Supreme Lord. He's not really hungry, but it was a lila to show the glory of his devotees and how they respond, how they behave in these situations. Hare Krishna. Oh, Lord Krishna, does he also appear in yes, we could definitely, if Lord Chaitanya could do it, we can understand Lord Krishna can also do it, yes. Lord Krishna it's not described extensively that I know about, but certainly Lord Krishna could do it if he desires. Okay, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for your wonderful class. We all thank to Maharaj by chanting 3 times Haribol. Haribol! 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 And we expect that today afternoon session starts sharp 5:30. Sharp 5:30 will start. Please be on time and inspire your colleagues, friends to be on time. Hare Krishna.